former wrestler of OVW and WWE, Tank Toland. How's it going, bro?
How's it going, man? I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime, bro. So where can they find your social media platform?
You can find me on Instagram, Tank Toland. I think it's either Tank Toland or John Toland, but and then same with Facebook, let's see, also TikTok. I'm not a huge social media guy, but I'm always happy, and I have a Tank Toland fan page too if people want to find that. But feel free to follow me, reach out, say hey. I'm always loving to hear from my fans. It's cool.
Oh, that's good to know, man. So what got you into the wrestling business, man?
Well, I was a little guy, got bullied as a kid, and I was probably in like third, fourth grade, and I saw the WWF come on TV, and I saw guys like Hulk Hogan and those guys, in the ring, and I said, holy crap. I was like, these guys are like superheroes, like real life superheroes. And kind of got hooked from that moment on, found another couple friends that liked it, and we started watching it all the time. And then next thing you know, of course, we're doing all the moves on each other in the house like we shouldn't be, and all that. But man, I just started becoming a fan then. And then for WrestleMania 5, they were in Atlantic City at the Boardwalk Hall, and it was Hulk Hogan versus the Macho Man in the main event. And I had ceased right there where the entrance was, so I got to see them all come out and everything. And Hulk Hogan, beat the Macho Man for the title, and he was walking back, and I just remember I got to pat him on the shoulder, and my hand was just full of his sweat, and I was just like, Hulk Hogan sweat, and my brother was with me, and I was just so excited. I was like, Kirk, and I put it on his face, and he's like, what are you doing? And I said, that's Hulk Hogan's sweat. He goes, I don't care, his sweat. But me, I was like, I'm never watching this hand again. So that was so exciting to me. I just wanted to be a wrestler from the time I was just a little kid. It was one of my dreams, and I was just so happy to be able to achieve it. So I started working out at a really young age. The Hulk Hogan, say your prayers, eat, take your vitamins, all that stuff, train and all that. And for me, that was like something I always dreamed of doing. Of course, I went through school, and I actually went through college, and still through college, I found friends that also were into wrestling, and we'd watch it. And then we'd watch the tape and rewind it and watch it back again, WCW and WWE and WWF at the time. And we'd go out and practice in the courtyard, all the moves. And it was pretty cool. And I just thought, hey, maybe after I graduate, I could, find a school to do this and learn it, and maybe be a weekend warrior, do it as a hobby. And I found a place not too far from where I was living called the Monster Factory, which I think a lot of people know who are wrestling fans. It's one of the main places to go to learn how to work properly. So I tried out the Monster Factory. Pretty good boy Larry Sharp, rest in peace. He gave me a tryout, and I started working there at the Monster Factory, training and learning. And I didn't know that I was going to actually, make it, because how many people actually make it? But in my mind, I was training like I could make it. But I was still like, okay, well, I'm a teacher, so I'm going to teach, and then I'll do this and see what happens. So one thing led to another. I kept training and working, and after a couple years, I got the opportunity to try out at OVW. They had their first big camp. It was like a week-long camp, and they took like 50 people. And I was lucky enough to be one of those 50 people, and then lucky enough to be one of the I think like 10 to 12 people that they invited to come back and become a part of the OVW family and work towards a developmental contract with the WWE.
Oh, that was good. That's pretty interesting, because I had Kenny Bullitt on, which he was like one of those guys that was working there, and there was a lot of good, interesting talent guys. You were working around some big time stars that were eventually going to break out. Like who would have thought John Cena would have been the big guy? Randy Orton. Who would have thought those guys would have been?
Yeah, those guys. John Cena. Obviously he had a great look. He was just what Vince loves in a wrestler, just a big guy, you know, he's a pretty boy, you know, he basically could be the poster child for the company and, you know, that kind of thing. And you know, it's no surprise that Vince likes the big guys. So, but the thing is he also had an incredible work ethic and hell of a nice guy. So, and he had good charisma. So, you know, he had everything it took to be a top guy, which is awesome. And then of course you got guys like Randy Orton, you know, another guy who's just got an incredible look and just very talented guy and comes from, you know, obviously wrestling lineage. So, you know, just like a lot of the guys, Cody Rhodes and people such as that have had the opportunity to kind of, you know, pave their way and, you know, the family's footsteps and all that. And that's pretty cool. So,
yeah, it had to be a good experience just to be a part of the developmental territory where they actually brought in some guys to go into the WWE. Like you had some good matches there, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I had when I first got up there, it was. I remember when I did the tryout with the week-long tryout with with OVW, and it was Dr. Tom Pritchard, it was Rip Rogers, and then it was Rocky Johnson was there, of course Danny Davis, who you know owned the OVW, and Jim Cornette. You know, those were some of the guys that were there watching us and, you know, determining who's gonna, you know, come work for the company and work towards a, you know, contract. And I remember I felt like I did really well with the tryout, and I was at the time I just remember I got the call from Jim Cornette. It was April. It was like mid-April, and he's like, "Hey Tank, how you doing? It's good to hear from you. I mean, it's good. It's good talking to you. Hey, how would you like to come be part of the OVW family and work towards a developmental contract with the WWE?" And I said, "Jimmy, that's the best news I've ever heard." And he goes, "Great. How soon can you be out here?" And I said, "I'll be there in 2 weeks." You know, I was like, if I can get there, give me 2 weeks, because I just didn't want to, you know, didn't want to burn any bridges with employers and stuff. I wanted to, you know, make sure I wanted to do things right. So, yeah, man, I went from just, you know, working and then all of a sudden getting that call. And I just basically I dropped everything, you know, and I said, I'm moving out to Louisville, Kentucky from the beaches of New Jersey, South Jersey, and packed up, drove my car out there and pulled into town. And I was lucky enough to already have some people out there that I knew, like Mike Bucci, who's Nova, or Simon Dean. I used to work for his brother. He has a twin brother named Donnie Bucci, who's runs a promotion, 80s B. He had a promotion called Phoenix Championship Wrestling, PCW, up in Toms River area of New Jersey. And so I got to work there and do some promotions, some indies around, and meet some people before I got to OVW. So I knew Nova, and he knew I was coming out. So him and some of the other guys met up with me and welcomed me into the family, and they took me under their wing, which was really cool. I got a lot of respect for Mike Bucci. He's an awesome dude, and really helped not only myself, but a lot of people, you know, that were coming in from, you know, the independents into OVW. And he just helped a lot of guys, workers in the business over the years, and definitely give a lot of respect and credit to him for helping out and being a great part of the business.
I mean, he paved the way for a lot of other wrestlers for you. So, I mean, a guy like him having that much experience and knowledge it goes a long ways. But what was the difference just from growing up from Jersey to go all the way down Louisville? What's the environment difference?
Oh man, the Northeast where I live, you know, New York, Pennsylvania, like you got New York, Philadelphia, Atlantic City, like this whole area is like it's a little bit rougher and tougher and a lot more attitude around here. I've always been more of a laid back, friendly, nice guy that just wants to, you know, have fun and laugh. So for me, when I went out there and being so used to this Northeast attitude, when I went out there, it's, you know, it's the South, where they call it the Midwest, which I don't know why it's the Midwest. To me, it's not the Midwest, but whatever. So I get out there, and I remember I drive into town, and my only experience with Louisville was It was very isolated because I flew into Louisville for the tryout. Was there for a week, and it was only from basically the hotel to the arena for the tryouts and the camp. So I didn't know anything about the town. So I drove into town. I pulled into a gas station to fill up. I walk into the gas station to grab a drink. I walk through the door, and as soon as I walk through this door, the guy behind the counter is like, "Hey, how's it going there?" And I'm just like, I turned around because I was like, he must be talking to someone else. I was the only one in there. I thought he was saying hi to a friend he knew, and sure enough, he's like saying hi to me. I'm like, wow. I was like, that was friendly. I was like, what's your angle? Because where I'm from, when someone's that friendly, they got an angle. They want something. But no, it's just a friendly guy. And then I come to realize that people down in Louisville and the South are just so nice compared to where I'm from. So it was kind of culture shock. But yeah, man, it was great to get down there, and I still love Louisville to this day. I visited there in the summertime. It was amazing going back and seeing everything and seeing some of the people that were very important to me, to this day. So
it has to be a good experience to go from a different culture. I mean, I guess like you said, they're very friendly people. So it's like depending on where you go, but there was a lot of crazy stories from OVW, but man, Jim Cornette had some crazy incidents with Santino, man. What was going on? Were you there at the time when they had that incident?
Yeah, I was. I was basically from me to this computer almost watching it happen. I remember it was me and it was Nova, Mike Bucci, Simon Dean. I don't know what to call him, but yeah. So it was me and Mike and a couple other guys that were there, and it was just crazy because Boogeyman was doing his routine in OVW, and they're trying to get that character over and scaring the crap out of everybody. And Santino was a new guy in the beginners class, and he was and at the time they took the guys, the people that were in the beginners class, and they'd sit them in the audience in a certain section. So if they want to have something happen in the crowd, the audience, they could have it happen around there to make it seem like, oh, they're into the crowd and blah, 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 blah. And so the whole angle was basically Boogeyman, scares the crap out of everyone, and he takes off through the crowd, and everyone in the crowd is supposed to be like, whoa, scared crap, listen, scattering, get away from him. And I guess, and from what I understand, Santino's kid was there. He had a child that was in the audience, and he didn't want the kid to get too scared of the situation. So he didn't sell it as much as Jim would have liked. So I think that's kind of what really pissed Jim off, is because it's almost like Jim felt like he no-sold the Boogeyman, which was a big deal. It's like to Jim, that was at that level, it was almost like no-selling the Undertaker. And and he wasn't happy about it. And so basically backstage, Jim was up in his face like this, and as long as I have anything to say, you'll be everything in this business, and blah, 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 blah. You're nothing. You're worthless. You're a piece of crap. Giving them the business. And Jim, Jim's just a very passionate guy. I mean, I have all the respect and love in the world for Jim Cornette. If it wasn't for Jim, I wouldn't have had even half a percent of the opportunity that I was given. He believed in me, and Danny Davis believed in me so much so that they really gave me a shot right as soon as I got there. So, much love to Jimmy and his passion and for what he's done for the business. But he was just really hot at the moment, and his passion and his emotion is very close to the surface, and he blew up, and he just gave him the business and smacked him right across the face, and it was like, whoa, holy crap! I can't.
We ain't playing around.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was like, I can't believe I just saw it. I'm gonna try and back away because I don't want to all of a sudden get into crosshairs. Maybe I did. Yeah, so I don't want to be on anyone's bad list. It's like when you're up in the WWE and you wanted one of the first things you did, you wanted to make sure you found out what kind of mood Vince was in. Because if he was in a good mood, you had no problem finding him and shaking his hand and saying, "Hey, how you doing today, sir?" But if he was in a bad mood, you wanted to just make sure you stay clear as best as possible, fly under the radar, and so he didn't look at you and say, "Hey, Why do we still have this guy around? Fire that guy, you know? So, yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on too behind the scenes. I mean, there was just a lot of like good matches. I mean, there was Sean O'Hara who could have been over, but he was an OVW also. Like, what was your experience working with Sean O'Hara?
I love Sean, man. Sean was great. Crazy, batshit crazy kind of.
A strong specimen, dude. That good dude could have been something.
Dude was in ridiculously good shape. He had a phenomenal look. Not a bad worker. He had a lot of energy, and I guess I don't know if he just kind of got in his own way. I don't know if it was because of like the substances or what was going on in his life, or I can't really speak to like what kept him from being one of the top guys or but I mean, because he certainly could have been. I mean, him and Jindrak were doing a good job for a while, and Jindrak was phenomenal athlete and great worker, but hey, look, I mean, there's some people like you look at them and they're like, they got star written all over them. They got the look, they got, but who knows? It could be one thing or another that keeps people from, being in a position to get them to where they're the top guy. Who knows? But great guy.
Yeah, but he was a good talent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did a few things together. Like, when you do like, I was in a tag team for a lot of my career in OVW, the majority of it. But I mean, like there was times where, all of a sudden you have a 3-man tag and he'd be part of it. And it was pretty cool to work with him too, because he was fun. He always brought a lot of fun energy. Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So you worked mostly as a tag throughout your career, but what was your best matches as a singles?
What was my best matches in OVW?
Yeah.
Shoot, man. I always loved working. I loved when I was in a tag team called Adrenaline. It was me and Chris Cage, who ended up becoming Kalen Croft in WWE for a bit. And we had a tag team called Adrenaline, and we had just some fantastic matches with Simon Dean Nova. Nova's he had a faction called the Jersey Shore Crew. And it was him and a couple other guys, Danny Inferno, and I think at one point and it was Aaron Stevens, and we just had such a blast, like having just awesome tag matches together, and it was just those were probably the most fun for me, because putting those matches together with Nova was just awesome. It was great because he's got such an innovative mind. His psychology is fantastic. Jim Cornette gave him a lot of leeway as far as how to put things together, because he really trusted him. And Jim Cornette, that was the other thing. Being in a tag team was fantastic, just because Jim Cornette was, the main guy booking things and putting people over and stuff. And he was, since he's a tag team guy, he made the tag team division pretty much the most important. It was just right there with the heavyweight tag team. Everyone viewed the tag team championship and the heavyweight championship almost like, the same thing when you're an OVW. So to be able to, be in a tag team and be, have the tag titles for as long as I did again and again, both as a face and a heel, it was really awesome. And working against the Jersey Shore Crew, was so much fun. And then also when I became a heel, I was also working against like Johnny Jeter and Matt Capitelli, who's one of the best people you could have ever met. I mean, rest in peace. And I gotta say, like, there's so many good matches, like off the top of my head, that it's like there's no way to name just one. But those were a couple of my favorites. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, Matt Capitoli was part of that incident where Hardcore Holly was like abusing them. Like, I don't know what it was, but I think he was just trying to protect the business. What was your thought when you heard about Hardcore Holly doing that, man?
Hardcore Holly doing that?
Yeah, like going.
It's Hardcore Holly. It's Hardcore Holly being Hardcore Holly, taking liberties.
Protecting the business, I guess, in a way.
Protecting the business, my ass. Fuck that shit. You kidding
Oh,
me? I'll
yeah.
call it like it is. Fucking, he's being fucking a stiff prick. I mean, that's bullshit. You know, like, you have respect for each other in the business.
Yeah.
I believe you can hit hard, but hit hard in safe places. Protect the people you're working with. Don't be a fucking jerk off. Pardon my French.
That's all right.
The kids that are watching or whatever. But like, when it comes to that, like, you're supposed to be a partnership. You're supposed to be taking care of each other. You're supposed to be making things look as good as you can, but you're being as safe as you can too, because you want to make sure that, hey, we're going to be able to do this again the next night and the next night and the next night. Yeah, you feel like you get hit by a car, you know, the next morning, but at the same time, you can still wrestle the next night, you know. So when people do that kind of shit, and I remember when I first got into the business, and I was green as shit, and you know, I was working for different indie promotions, and someone would, you know, be working with me. I was working for like the promoter who's also putting himself over, and I'd be working against him. I remember one time I got slammed outside on the outside the ring, just a straight up body slam outside the ring, and no padding, no nothing, right on the freaking concrete floor. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is the business. I guess this is wrestling. This is me paying my dues. But then as you get a little wiser and you realize, no, these are just people fucking being pricks and trying to get themselves over and trying to think that because they got a couple more months, a couple more years in the business, that they think that they could take liberties on you. Screw that shit. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. You take care of the person you're working with. And for Hardcore Holly or anyone else that you know, goes and does that kind of crap, give them the big fuck you.
Oh, okay, I can see where you're coming from. Like protecting the wrestlers would be more better for the safety wise, but I guess he was a little
better for the business in general. It's like, and it's you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm a very happy-go-lucky guy. But when I hear that kind of stuff, especially when it's stuff like that being done to someone that was probably one of the nicest people you could ever meet on the planet, Matt Capitelli, who would give you the shirt off your back, even if it was the last shirt he had. Like, that's just unacceptable to me. So, you know, and I think I've been around the business long enough to, you know, over 20 years now to say, you know, to call bullshit, you know. So, yeah.
I like how you keep it this. I mean, that's good. That's good talk right there. I mean, you got to speak how you feel. And, you know, since you kind of got promoted to the WWE, man, what got them to come up with this gimmick, bro? It was just a weird one. Like, I don't understand. You were dressed like a Chippendale.
Oh, I couldn't wait to do it. It was the most exciting thing in my life. I was just like, please, can I please be a fucking wrestling Chippendale called James Dick? It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see where this can go.
I ain't gonna lie, I just thought it was a funny gimmick, bro. I just thought it was a funny one.
Can you sense any sarcasm there? I mean,
yeah.
Just a hint. No, look, it's no shocker that, you know, I'm not the tallest guy in the business, and when I got linked up with, it's almost like saying Voldemort, the name that shall not be spoken, Chad Wicks. Oh God, that was the biggest freaking rib on me that I ever had in the business. Actually, was being linked up with him. But I don't mean to sound sour, but yeah, it's like it was one of those things where I got injured and linked up with him. Well, I got injured in OVW. I tore my bicep, and then I was linked up with him. And they brought us up together. At first, they were looking to put us with Simon Dean, Nova, as and be like his henchman, who ended up, the Gemini twins ended up becoming his henchman eventually. But I guess they decided to do things differently, because what they did was they said, okay, well, you guys are going to start coming out from the crowd after tag team matches and then just laying out whoever's left in the ring, the winners. You'll come out and lay out the winners, and it'll be a whole thing like, who are these guys and stuff like that. So for a few weeks we'd come out, we'd be black dress pants and black like wife beaters, black tank tops, And when the match was over, we'd run out from the crowd, take out everybody. And then, it was just, who are these guys? What are they doing? Blah, blah, blah. And after I think the third week, actually Taz on air said, "Oh, I know who that is. That's the Tolands," because that's who we were in OVW. We were the Tolands. We were also called the Blonde Bombers. And then that was I guess that got kiboshed real quick. We weren't the Tolands the next week. So, but one week we went in there and laid everybody out. And I had the black tank top off, and I just ripped it off and threw it on the ground and was all hyped up. And when I went to the back, Vince was like, "Oh, I really like the way you ripped off that tank top and you threw it, and you just look like a Chippendale. You just had that look." He goes, "Next week I want you guys to come back. Just come back. I want to see what you would look like with Chippendale outfits." So,
Ooh.
So that's kind of So I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was screwing myself by just ripping off my shirt. But yeah. So basically, we came back the next week with Chippendale outfits, and he's like, "I love it. I love it. I think we got something here." And now this is, and I'm thinking, "Oh shit, really? Great." It's because my whole thing was my whole persona was, Tank Toland. I wasn't, for me, it was I was like a pit bull. I wasn't the biggest dog in the fight, but I wasn't going to back down from anyone, no matter, what their size was. And I'm not the biggest dog, but I'm one of the toughest, and you're going to have to basically kill me to beat me. That was my whole persona, basically. So all of a sudden going from that to I'm a wrestling Chippendale was kind of a change. But hey, look, you do what you got to do. And when you're getting called up, you're just happy to be there. And, I guess I wasn't strong enough or I guess I just wanted the shot so badly that I was just like, okay, I'll do what I got to do. And then hopefully, one day I can get out of this gimmick and go to something else. Like a lot of wrestlers have. They've been one gimmick and they go to something else. But yeah, that was a time where there was a lot of shitty gimmicks being thrown against the wall just to see what would stick. That was the same time they gave Matt Morgan a freaking 7-foot monster. They gave him a stutter. What the hell's that? You give him a stutter? It's and then they gave, and then
Nick Dinsmore as a disability guy.
What's that?
They gave Nick Dinsmore as the disability character.
Yeah, I mean, and that at least, that got over for a little bit. That was, Nick Dinsmore is a great worker, and he got himself over. I'm not sure if that was Nick's idea or the writers or who, but yeah, it got over a little bit. But that was also this time that they also made another great worker from England, Paul Burchill, who was an OVW as well. They decided to make him a freaking pirate, and it was ridiculous. They also that was when they gave Jillian Hall, one of the divas, they gave her a big mole on her face that the Boogeyman eventually ate off of her, and the Boogeyman was another one that they came up with, which actually I don't know that. I wonder if they came up with that or that was something in OVW. But anyway, there's a few shitty gimmicks during that time period. So, I was one of them.
You were one of those guys, and I guess you kind of just ended it like how it was, But like from your wrestling career, was there any locker room stories or incidents happening during your time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've beaten one horse to death over the years, but I mean, there's a whole incident with myself and Chad, my tag partner at the time. Basically, you may have heard it. I would hate to beat a dead horse, so I'll give the extremely short version. But basically, he was doing things that weren't going to look good for himself and the tag team. And I told him, hey, you should cut this stuff off. But he still went forward with it. The boys got wind of it. We ended up in wrestler's court. They came down hard on him and were calling him gay and a faggot and all kinds of stuff that obviously today wouldn't fly. And it wouldn't it wouldn't fly for a second because of all the anti-bullying stuff and social media being where it is. But yeah, it ended up being that they coerced him into trying to fight me. And he was trying to get out of it. He he made some bad moves, tried to fight me, and he came out on the unfortunately he well, not unfortunate for me, but unfortunate for him, he picked the wrong person and ended up getting his ass whooped. So, and then a couple weeks after that, maybe like a month after that, we got let go. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. For that incident, man, he was supposed to work with you, but I guess, do you guys even keep in contact like that or no?
Him, Jesus. I try to steer as far away from him as possible. He's got a lot of issues, which like I wish him the best. I hope he can find peace and find whatever he's looking for. I mean, because he's definitely he's got a screw loose. He always has, unfortunately. Which it was unfortunate for me too, because when you get, I didn't pick him as a tag partner. He just kind of got put with me because we have same height, same build. Mine was a little bit better, but I'm a better looking guy.
I'm
just breaking into character sometimes, just being stupid.
Hey,
so
but
don't take me seriously because I don't take myself seriously. I'm very self-deprecating as well. So.
Yeah, and he did a rip shirt of the Hulk Hogan. Like when Hulk Hogan rips the shirt, that's just how I think that's what got you into the business, because you were watching Hogan doing that.
And just when you're in the moment, you're just not. You just freaking, you're going wild. You're not even knowing what you're doing. So yeah, you're just living in the moment. So yeah.
Yeah, in today's wrestling business, it wouldn't slide like that, because there was a lot of ribs from JBL, a lot of other wrestlers. Was there like any incidents with other wrestlers besides Chad?
For me, no, I got along with people well. Like when we got up there, I mean, we were getting ribbed. We were the new guys. I mean, one time I came back from a match and my travel bag was not where I was sitting, and I heard the shower running, and I went back, and my bag was just sitting underneath the shower with all the water just flowing into my bag. Excuse me. And I was just like, well, that's just, the boys ribbing. That's the way it is. You're the new guy. You're going to get ribbed. And I was fine with that kind of stuff. That's like not that big a deal, So I just went along with it and zipped up my bag with the water in it. And I wheeled it out to the bus after the show with the water still leaking out of it, threw it under the bus in the cargo compartment and didn't say a word about it. And then was it either the next night or a couple nights, because we were over on tour, and I don't know where we were, England or Mexico, Japan, I don't know. But, one of the other nights came back from a match and my clothes weren't in my bag. I was looking around for them, and sure enough, they were glued to the wall up high. And I was like, oh, there they are. So got on a chair, stripped them down, put them on with the glue on them still, and sat there and in the chair and watched the rest of the show on the monitors. And then when the show was over, I got up and holding onto my chair like I was stuck to it, just messing around, and started walking around like as if it was still stuck to me. And then I didn't put it over. I mean, I made the best of it and just laughed at it. And then the boys after that, they came up to me. I remember Benoit came up to me and pulled me aside, and he's like, "Hey, look, you're cool with us, man. We've busted your chops. We've played jokes on you. We ribbed you, and you took it, like a champ, and we're not going to mess with you anymore. But tell your partner that he's got to get his shit together, because, the boys aren't happy with him. They didn't like the way he would cry about stuff and complain that he's getting ribbed and things like that. So he'd be like, oh, come on, guys. And it's like, but so that's kind of part of it. Like when you're with a tag guy, yeah, I mean, you're in a tag team. It's like, sometimes you live and die by your tag partner, and it didn't help my situation. So
it had to be a difficult situation for that.
What's that?
It had to be a very difficult situation to work with somebody that you didn't enjoy working with. So,
yeah, I mean, hey, look, I would have loved to have been a singles guy, or at least I would have loved love to have been put together with my old tag partner, Chris Cage, up there. We had a good chemistry. We had a lot of fun. Or pretty much anyone else for that matter. But hey, it is what it is. I'm just fortunate that I even got the, opportunity to fulfill my childhood dream and to, get to that level. There's so many like workers out there, so many wrestlers out there that are great talents that for one reason or another they don't get their shot. So hey, look, I'm happy that I even got to get to the big show. So that was cool.
Yeah, it's a good accomplishment. Not everybody can say that. So it's like, you can go back and say, yeah, I had a career, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bittersweet because it wasn't exactly as far as I wanted to go. But, I think and it's also because it's funny because it's a little bit of like, it pisses me off just a little bit just because I know what I was capable of doing. I know what I had done in OVW. I knew I had gotten myself over. I knew I was one of the top guys there, both as a heel and a baby face. And I knew that I was able to do it on the indies. And it kind of pisses you off because when you're on the biggest stage and you don't get the opportunity to really show what you're capable of, and you get put into a box and you're viewed as, oh, that's the guy that was on TV for 5-6 months and he was one of the dicks and it was a terrible tag team and they didn't do shit. It makes you say like, damn, man, I didn't get to show people what my true potential was, and to really, highlight and spotlight what I was able to do. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, not the way you hope it was, but at least you got the chance. Like most people won't even be able to say that. So, I mean, you look like in good shape. You look like in TikTok shape, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you were to had a chance to wrestle with anybody else, bro, like which brand? Like, AEW, they got a good brand going on. WWE, NXT, man. What do you think of as just an outside looking in?
Man, honestly, I still have a huge passion for it. I still keep in great shape. I'd almost dare to say that I'm in better shape now. Like, even though I was bigger back then, like I feel more confident and better about myself now, and I still am in great shape to jump in the ring. And yeah, I mean, look, if WWE came calling tomorrow and said, "Hey, look, let's see if we can work you back into things or do something," I'd be like, "Of course, I'm not dumb. I'm gonna take an opportunity like that still to almost like prove myself." But yeah, AEW, what they're doing there is fantastic. I think they're doing great things. I mean, they got some of the best talent there working right now, and a lot of my friends that have gone over there were people I really respect, like Jericho and guys like that are just so good. And one of my friends, Pat Buck, over there, he's doing great things. So yeah, I mean, that would be a fantastic opportunity to even get a shot to work over there too. But wrestling's you got to hustle and you got to work hard, and that's part of the great thing about it, because it does a lot of times weed out the people who want it and the people who just think they want it. So
there's plenty of wrestlers that I've wrestled in the past. They stop watching wrestling for whatever reason. It's either they have a bad taste for the business or they just don't care for it no more.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't watch it as much as I used to, and it's not because I don't have a bad taste in my mouth. It's also, sometimes I don't always like, what they're doing with it. Sometimes I'm like, this is cool, but I'm not like psyched about, some of the psychology sometimes that I see or the angles that they're going with. But hey, look, it wasn't always the best. It goes in cycles, as far as, whether I'm liking what they're doing or not. But, everyone has different thoughts on psychology, and that's cool too. That's cool too, because, if everyone's thinking the exact same thing all the time and everyone's, then it's going to be almost like a cookie cutter type of thing. And you want things to be a little different here and there. And you want people to have different ideas and different ways of thinking about it. So that's all cool too. Yeah. So, but I do enjoy still watching it. I just don't watch it religiously like I used to.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
We all got a busy life and we got stuff going on. So, it is what it is. And, if you were to go back in time, what would you have changed just to get back into the wrestling business? What would you have hoped for? Let's just say it comes in your favor.
I think I would have probably spoke up a little bit more about like being a singles guy or being put with a tag partner that I had better chemistry with. That's a big part of it. I would have been like, look, I would rather take my chances on the indies or work my way back as something else than be stuck in, this situation because it's not what's best for me and my brand, and I guess when it comes down to it, like someone like CM Punk, I got a lot of respect for him because, he didn't let them control what he was going to be. A lot of times you go up to the WWE and they want to put their stamp on you. They want to be like, well, we're making them this, we're making them that, like Colt Cabana and Chris Hero. There's some guys that were just phenomenal workers, and were so over in like Ring of Honor and around on the indie scene, and they get up there and all of a sudden they want to make them something else. It's like why? Like just let them be them. They're over. Like people already know them. The real true wrestling fans like know them, and they're gonna get over. And it was totally evident with someone like CM Punk. CM Punk, he was lucky enough to also have Paul Heyman as a huge supporter. And CM Punk was like, no, this is who I'm going to be. I'm CM Punk, and I'm not going to be anyone different from that. And so for him to be that strong and to not let anyone deter him from being what he wanted to be and saying, hey, you either take it or leave it, a lot of respect for that. So I have a lot of respect for CM Punk in that manner. And I wish I could have been a stronger person like that myself. And CM Punk proved like, hey, look, I'm already over. I've gotten myself over. This is my character. This is who I am. And look, I mean, he was still all over. No matter where he went, he was always over. And he was always like a top merchandise seller. So, good on him. So I wish I could have done that. To answer your question, to make a short answer long, there you go.
Oh, yeah, be more outspoken and actually could have done something. Maybe you could have worked an angle with Chris Benoit.
That would have been, man, if I could have worked Chris Benoit. I mean, like, man, he was someone like watching him before I ever, got into the business. Like, he was one of my favorite guys, him, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. I mean, Chris Jericho. I mean, there's so many guys out there that I was just like, oh my God, I'd do anything to wrestle one of these guys one day, just to get in the ring and work with them. So that would have been awesome.
Tough tragedy with those two wrestlers, man. It was a tough one. Like, Guerrero was a really good wrestler, but then Benoit's incident, I can't speak on behalf of what happened then. It was just one of those crazy incidents.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was up there when all the craziness was going down. Like, I remember, like, with Guerrero, like, he was, and such a nice guy, Eddie. I remember we were pulling into the arena in Minneapolis, and I just remember seeing everyone crying and somber, and we were like, oh no, something big just happened. Something's going on, because like you just saw everyone upset as we were pulling in, and we find out that, Eddie passed away in the hotel room, and it was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, I mean, everyone was just crestfallen. And obviously Chavo, but Chris Benoit was so upset about it. I mean, that was one of his best friends. And I feel like he was never right after that, because I just remember, like, I was fortunate enough to like hang out with him a little bit and work out with him at the gym. And I remember we were just like in Tokyo, and him and I were working out together at a Gold's Gym over there, and it was like on the 6th floor of this building, and we got done working out, and I just remember we got in the elevator, we were heading down to leave, and like out of nowhere, he just lost it. I mean, started crying on my shoulder, and how much he misses Eddie, and how upset and depressed he was. And I mean, I felt terrible for him, because you could just see like the heartbreak. It was like, as if his own brother had passed away. And I felt really bad for him. So yeah, I don't think he was ever right after Eddie Guerrero passed away. Yeah.
It did seem like it, because if you saw the way he was in tears, the way he competed, bro, he didn't look like the same guy that had the passion. Like even in 2007, that was pretty much the it for him. But the last few years, you can tell he wasn't really like caring at this point. Like he says, I don't care no more.
Yeah, it's funny because like he was just so like, I think Benoit was one of those guys that was just like, I don't know, man. There was something so intense with him. Like he was like, he was nice. He was a very friendly guy, but when you spoke to him, he was like so laser focused. Like, I mean, he would look into your eyes and almost be looking freaking through you. He was so intense. And because like he was really listening to what you're saying. And like he was one of those guys I felt like we went up. When we went up, he was one of those guys that actually, even though he's one of the top guys, he would actually take time and talk to me and like give me advice. And this is obviously, this would be when he was sober. He'd be really into talking to you and helping you. And then it was like, it'd almost be like, okay, after the show's over, if we were on tour or something, it would almost be like, he starts drinking some beers and whatever else. And it'd almost he'd be like a different person sometimes. And so I just think he was just trying to battle some really hard emotions that he was going through. And it's a really unfortunate thing that happened. Obviously I didn't know him well enough, but I could say that he was just going through a lot of painful stuff. And I think that all kind of, helped bring things to a head, unfortunately.
That's what happened. But a hell of a good wrestler. If you look at
one of the best.
One of the best technician-wise. I mean, this man was like a submission specialist. I mean, Dean Malenko kind of gave him some different submissions too. So Dean Malenko's another guy that nobody even mentions. The thousands-hold submission.
It's funny you said that, because like I was going to mention Dean Malenko in the same breath as guys like Jericho and Benoit and Guerrero. I mean, they're all kind of like, such phenomenal workers. And Dean, I think Dean just doesn't get as much credit. He was like the Iceman. He didn't really say much. He didn't show the charisma, which the funny thing is backstage, he was a joker. He was like, he had personality, and he loved to joke, and he loved making jokes and laughing and stuff. It's like, you would have never known it, but yeah, he was always joking backstage. Yeah.
Yeah.
But phenomenal worker, phenomenal technician. Yeah.
Yeah. 1,000-hold guy, man. This man had a lot of different submissions. So this guy had some ways to elevate a little more.
Yeah. I wish I had a tenth of his technical ability. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are good ones that you're even bringing up. Those guys, underrated. They're very undersized, and that's where you would fit in, because you would have the technician mentality, if you would have worked with those guys. Yeah.
I mean, for me, like when I was watching people, I loved the big power guys, because I was a strong guy. I was really, super strong, especially for my height. But I was also very athletic, and I was able to do all the flips and Hurricane Ranas and Frankensteiners, and half the stuff that you saw, guys like Mysterio and Super Crazy and Juventud and guys like that, like Psychosis, and like those guys, like I could do all that, or the majority of it. And so I always wanted to almost be like a crossbreed, between like power and like high risk maneuvers and stuff like that, because I felt like the luchador power guy, that would kind of be different, that you don't get to see every day, So, yeah.
You would have brought more to the table then if they would have had more into that. That would have been something.
Yeah, and I almost felt like they did that a little bit later on when Neville came in. Like, I'm not sure if you remember who Neville was, but Neville was kind of like around like my height, not quite as big as me, but he was doing some of the luchador.
What thing he did.
Yeah, and like he had like a little bit of size to him, so I mean a little bit similar, but like for me, I wanted to be able to do like my power stuff, like because I was able to press the guys over my head, do gorilla presses into I would do something called a gorilla bomb where I'd press them into like a gorilla press and then throw them up into a power bomb, and then I'd do something else called a power trip where I'd actually put someone over my head with one arm. And it would basically be a one arm overhead spine buster, which, I used that. That was one of my main moves. So I love doing the power stuff, which is funny because my buddy Beast, Shad Gaspard, another guy, God damn, rest in peace. Yeah. I remember at one point, because I wasn't on TV anymore, I remember he tried to take it. And I saw him try to do it one night on one of the shows. And I called him. I said, Beast. I said, Beast, don't fucking do that. I said, not because it's my move. I said, because you make it look like shit. and he laughed. He laughed because we always would bust each other's balls. One of the great things about Shad was Shad had a great personality. I mean, he was a big dude. He was a tough guy too, but he was also like a gentle guy. And he had such a good heart. And, one of the cool things is like we could just bust each other's balls. And that was one of the cool things about OVW is like we all loved each other. We were such a family, and it was an amazing experience to be able to be in that kind of locker room where everybody was like, it was a brotherhood. It was a family. And like I've never experienced anything like it. I mean, Ring of Honor, I did had some really great experiences with Ring of Honor, met some incredibly awesome people that I love, but like on a daily basis, being there every day, because that was where you lived. It was your family, and it really did feel like a family. And to this day, I still see and feel like a lot of those guys that were there were just like brothers to me. So yeah. Which was awesome. And Shad was definitely one of those guys, and I loved them to death, which is funny, though, because you go to the WWE after being in that family environment, and then you go up to the WWE where at that time it was just a really cancerous kind of negative environment. A lot of guys will tell you who were there in that time, especially if they're just getting up there around those established guys. It wasn't the most welcoming environment. Yeah. So
it had to be because you were coming in as a rookie in a way. And
yeah. And hey, look, I understand. I get it. Like, you're the new guy, you're coming in. They're gonna press you a little bit on things. They're gonna haze you or rib you, whatever. And you got to earn your spot there. But and there's also people they're like, hey, this is the big time. There's only so many segments and so many guys that they can have on the roster. We got to make sure that we keep our spots. So anyone new coming up is someone that can potentially take their spot, take their job. And I can see why some people could feel like that. But at the same time, it's also like, hey, look, these are also people that can help make the product better and can help maybe even make my situation better, my gimmick better. Maybe, you never know. So I don't know. But yeah.
Hey, this would have been a good dream match right here. Like maybe in the near future, if you ever go back into wrestling, maybe you should get into a match with Neville. Like you were even.
I'm seeing. Oh, I didn't see there were questions has that been going on the whole time? Questions at the bottom?
No, there was a question right here that this would be a dream match just for you and Neville to go 1-on-1. I don't know if you ever guys wrestled.
No, I never even met the guy. But I liked what he did. I think it would be a lot of fun. Yeah, man. I mean, look, I take bookings. I still love, getting the opportunity to get in the ring and have a good time. So, I mean, hey, you never know. Maybe one day our paths will cross, and we can burn the house down.
That'd be worth a match to watch for sure.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, man, we've been going on for almost an hour, bro. I know you're pretty busy, man. So maybe in the near future, I'll hit you up again and maybe we'll work something out, man. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll do some Niners and Eagles, man. Because you're a Philadelphia fan. I like to mix it up a little bit.
Hey, man, whatever works, bro. I'm here, man. Just I always tell everybody, I'm always accessible. I'm happy to talk with anyone, and whether it be fans or podcasts, whatever it may be. I love the business, and I'm happy to just be a part of things.
Oh, for sure, man. But thank you for your time, bro. It was a lot of fun. You had a lot of good stories, and you had a lot of good details of what happened, man. So, hey, man, it is what it is with the business. Hey, but you could still. It's never too late to get back in the business, man. You never know.
Hey, man, I love life. I have a good life. I have a lot of positive people around me. So, whatever happens. But I'm just living life. Just having a good time.
For sure, man. And then thank you for your time, man. And for everybody else, man, have a great day. It was